Wait, how do we know it's live? Is it live? But is it live?
Stream is live.
On YouTube?
Yep, so.
How do you know it's on YouTube?
Because that's green, that means it's receiving footage.
Oh, it's receiving footage on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I guess welcome to the Azbadarian podcast.
Yep.
We're doing wonderful. It's a great start.
Yeah, very good start here, yeah, today.
Yeah. So I'm Lenny, and this is my cousin Tig,
Hi.
and we basically run Azbadar, whatever the frick Azbadar is.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be doing our first podcast today, and the first podcast that we wanted to do was gonna be on World War II, and essentially, because I'm American and he's Irish, I'm gonna be extremely biased towards America, and he's going to be raving drunk the entire time. So no worries. So basically, I'm going to be arguing that, in general, I'm going to be trying to prove or, argue for the theory that the United States was the main reason that the Allies won World War II, and Tig's going to be kind of pushing more for the argument that the Soviets were the ones that caused World War II.
So I live kind of closer to him.
Let's go, boys. Where are we dropping, boys? So that's gonna be
PUBG references. That'll get the kids.
That's actually more of a Fortnite reference, I think.
Yeah, I think so at this point, really.
Alright.
Our generation in general is in trouble, like.
That's true.
So let's open up now. Sorry.
Okay.
This is just stream maintenance. I'm gonna open up the live chat. We've currently 0 people watching. Hello, all of you. And alright. We got the live chat. So I'm gonna pop out the chat. See, this is more of a tutorial if you want to stream yourself.
Hey, I'm watching our live.
We got.
It's not sad.
We got
at least it works.
At some point, yeah. At least it works, is right. Let's open up now. Pop out chat.
We got a comment.
Yeah. Sorry, let me open up the pop out on top so we can read what you guys.
So apologies about this whole setup thing. This is our first podcast, so we are going to be kind of sorting things out and figuring out how it's going to work.
Yeah, that's pretty damn sad.
Oh yeah, I'm watching my own live, but you know what?
What can you do?
That's life.
So let's start the discussion, I suppose. World War II. So
America. Sorry, that was so loud.
Yeah. If we make a sharp noise, we suffer too.
We suffer because of the headphones.
Yeah, and this microphone here relays noise.
Yeah.
So if it's loud enough and it relays, it just gets really loud, and I nearly went deaf.
It's pretty funny. I dropped my earbuds and it hit the ground and he died.
Yeah,
he died.
It made me deaf. But so I suppose we'll start the discussion now. World War II. So essentially it starts off. Hitler rises to power, invades Poland. Everyone's like, "Oh, don't invade Poland." He's like, "Okay." Invades Poland anyway. People get pissed off and fight him. And Hitler kind of had, so from the Soviet side, Hitler had allies. He was allied with Stalin. But Hitler kind of messed up when he created 2 fronts and invaded.
Yeah, I think to start off, just any discussion about World War II and why Germany lost it, you automatically have to go to the two front war.
Yeah.
Hitler in no way could ever win a war on 2 fronts.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that the Russians were the turning point in World War II, because Hitler was able to fight a stable war on 2 fronts, but he couldn't win it. That's the thing. And the reason he couldn't win it is because they needed the German forces were able to at least hold off the Soviets and the Allies to the west.
Yeah.
Until the United States joined in.
Yeah. But essentially Hitler has a war with Stalin, and that's the Eastern Front. And every time Hitler tried pushing, the winter would drive him back. It's just Russia in a nutshell. But essentially it got to the point where the Japs tied the Americans into it by Pearl Harbor, and the Americans are like, okay, we're involved, this ends now, so they drop some microwaves on Japan. And
okay, that was after
after
World War II in Europe had ended.
The Americans wanted to clear up the European mess first, and then deal with the Japanese who tied them in.
And there was definitely a lot of fighting in the Pacific on the United States side. I mean, that while most films, books, most media is made and portrayed about Europe, there are really amazing movies like the movie about Desmond Doss in the Pacific and the fights that they had, because most of the United States war effort went to the Pacific to fight the Japanese, and it was brutal island by island fighting.
Yeah. No, it was all mobile, all by sea. And essentially this led up to the point where Japan was sealed off inside its own little bubble. And then America was like, alright, we do mainland invasion and we lose thousands upon millions of soldiers. Or we nuke them. So Japan's a small place, they had nowhere else to go. They didn't have any backup and no one really knew what a nuclear bomb was. So they nuked them and the Japanese were like,
the Japanese, the first nuke was huge, but it did not actually result in a surrender from Japan. We dropped our second one, and I believe that the United States, I'm not sure about this, the United States either had none or one more bomb that was capable of dropping at that time.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a bluff, but not really, because a nuke is still a lot of damage. So Japan ended up surrendering after the second bomb.
Japan had never really, the world had never seen one being used.
The United States is the only one to have ever used any kind of advanced bomb like that.
Yeah. But back to the Eastern Front anyway. So war is raging. There's a stalemate essentially in Stalingrad for about a year. Everything goes to crap essentially, and the front moves into Germany, and the Western Front at that time, that also, D-Day happened, and the Americans helped to push in.
And this is all pre-nuke and all that information.
Yes, yeah. But essentially, the two sides met in the middle of Germany, by chance in Berlin actually, and the entire of Europe got split in half. And
now, yes, in Berlin, I believe that the United States stopped somewhere around the Eagle's Nest, and I believe that U.S. history books actually previously, kind of after the war, when they talked about it, they actually, a lot of them said that the United States found Hitler dead or had killed him at Eagle's Nest, which I believe is incorrect, and I think actually the truth was that he was dead in his bunker in Berlin.
He was actually not found. He was burnt. They found his ashes essentially, or a half burnt corpse,
and probably the swastika flag and etc. like that.
Yeah, and the dead guard body next to it.
But the big argument that most people see, and you see it online, memes, you see it in history books, was that the war could not have been won without Russia or the Soviets.
Yeah.
That their overwhelming force came, and I will not deny that the Soviets made huge sacrifices. They lost millions.
Yes.
It was brutal. And a lot of people said the United States were far off, they were uninvolved, they didn't have a lot to risk, it was a different situation for them, which is true, but the pressure that Hitler had on both fronts was enough to hold off until, and Soviet Russia wanted the United States in. They wanted the United States to come in and reinforce the Western Front, because they knew that once the United States come in, that would ease off the Eastern Front, the pressure by the Germans, and that would allow them to have a stronger offensive movement to Germany. Yeah. And which is why I would mostly credit the United States to this, because the war was lost. The point of the war turned when the United States came in, resupplying to the south in Africa, helping aid Britain.
And they mopped up, they kind of started mopping up around Sicily in Italy. They cleared out the island and moved upwards, essentially, and kind of spread around.
And, there was the issue with, Italy basically had a civil war at that point, with the North being pro-Nazi and the South surrendering to the Allies. But the big point is that the United States was the turning point in both world wars for the Allies to win the war. Even if we had less, yes, we did have less to lose, but we still were the turning point.
Yeah. Now, I agree 100% with you that the Allies, he's checking up on stream and stuff.
Yeah.
But the Americans were a big benefit to the war, but the Russians, to be fair to them and all, like they were at a stalemate. Like they were kind of stuck.
Aren't you supposed to be arguing for the Russians?
I am arguing for them. I'll get to that.
Okay, you get to that.
But they were at a stalemate essentially. But the fact that they profited so much off it shows that, like, once that last little overspill of Germans to Russians went away to the Eastern Front, or Western Front, sorry, I'm getting mixed up now. The Russians moved out fairly fast. Like, they made it to Germany. You get me, like.
They made it into Berlin.
Yeah, and they ended up becoming a superpower, challenging the US. So.
Now let's point it out, though. Germany was in ruins.
Yeah.
But the army was in tatters at the point when the Soviet army was pushing, but they came to an agreement. The United States stopped their offensive because they decided to let Soviets come into Berlin because they were the bigger person. They knew that having Soviet forces and American forces collide, which hadn't happened because of the two fronts had been separated, hadn't happened the entire war. They did not think that anything good would come of that because while they were both fighting Germany, the common saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, was not necessarily true. The Americans and a lot in the West still really distrusted and disliked the Russians and the nations to the east, and that was true till after the war, the Cold War, and that easily could have resulted in World War III. I could see it. Like in the history books, you see World War One, World War II, and the two greatest powers left, Russia and America.
And they waged the Cold War. The
Cold War, which was an arms race, basically to build as many weapons until your economy failed, and Russia lost. Their economy failed. They died. We won. It was pretty idiotic, and that was one of the reasons. It
was important for that to happen. Like,
yes, because that meant that there was not a war, because Russia became incapable of actually fighting a real war. They could launch nukes, but
if everybody has a nuclear missile, no one has one. If you understand my point of thinking, if you launch a nuke, you're calling a nuke on yourself.
It's like
if everyone has one, no one has the power.
The expectation, the bar rose. The expectation for a world power wasn't a giant navy necessarily anymore. It was nukes, and which is true today with North Korea desperate for nukes, and nukes, when they did have them, allowed them to interact with other nations on an international professional level. When Trump went to the summit, which is a lot of what they wanted. They wanted to be treated as equals. They wanted to be respected, and
can I speak my opinion on that? The way I see North Korea running is the country works off aid, essentially. So North Korea develops a crisis. Like, this has happened 3 times, I believe, now. There's different. They reach crisis point, and then they're all good guy, and they're all chill. They take as much aid as possible. As soon as the aid stops, they go back into full aggressive. Oh, comments. Random shit posts. Ooh, the poster behind you.
Oh god.
Yeah, we know.
I bought it. Come on, you don't like it?
Yeah. Oh, what's wrong with the camera's kind of tilted. Probably that's.
Don't care. It's a beautiful poster, and it costs like £5.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Expensive as shit.
Very expensive.
But anyway, North Korea develops a crisis, milks off the aid, then has to develop another crisis to sustain itself for a while.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily that. I mean, what do you mean by crisis?
The missile crisis.
The missile crisis. You mean they had a lot of missiles?
No, as in, they...
You're not from the US? Question mark. Which one of us? I'm from the US, he's not.
Yeah, I'm Irish. Which actually leads us to, this is my office. Yeah, so he doesn't own any shit all here except that poster and that flag.
And another poster.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anyways,
sorry, can I?
Yeah, go on with your.
The first one was North Korea develops missiles, and this was a while ago. Like, they had these for a while. They developed missiles, and that kind of scares the US, and then they play good guy for a bit. Then they develop missiles that can reach the USA, like just the East Coast or West Coast. Yeah?
Yeah.
And that frightens people. Everyone's panicking. And then the last straw was the fact that they could reach, like, East Coast USA. Like, the missile range had increased. Another comment. North Korea is the best Korea. Debatable. We've got K-pop and we've got missiles. Like, you know, pick. But essentially, when the missiles could reach the majority of USA, that was like, okay, yeah, we have to give them aid now, you know.
I don't know a lot about North Korea, but I'm not sure that was the issue. I think the issue was more between, China and South Korea, and since the United States was, you know, after World War II, we basically took over Japan's defenses. We said, you guys can't have a military, which resulted in them becoming technologically superior, but moving on from that. We were responsible for the Navy and the military force in that area between, you know, like South Korea and Japan. So as a result, we, you know, especially after the Korean War, there has always been high tensions between North Korea and the United States. So I think the crises were more new leaders, new issues, and more developments in technology, but I don't think they necessarily could launch a successful strike at us. Because while they have...
It's all a bluff.
Even if they do have the technology, imagine, like, I'm trying to figure out how to compare this. That's like one army has developed a single catapult. That's great. But the United States still has giant walls. Like, the catapult can't do much. We're still going to shoot down their rockets. We're still going to block them. We would still have a faster response than them. Honestly, any strike by North Korea wouldn't do a whole lot.
China's abandoning North Korea.
So for new people coming in, we're having a debate, a discussion, and it kind of started out about World War I and II, and it's kind of moved on to the North Korea topic.
Yeah, the Cold War and modern day.
And what the situation with North Korea is. And we're trying to stay away from politics and kind of just discuss what our opinions are.
Like, what's actually happening, not what hypothetically could happen.
And so here's a comparison about the North Korea situation that I really loved, and I saw it online, and someone showed it to me. You imagine in a classroom, North Korea is the annoying small kid in the corner, not in the corner, but the annoying kid who's always looking for attention. He's always making a fuss and talking a lot, but he's all bark, no bite. And the United States, South Korea is like the person that he's always annoying, and North Korea is the big jock who's kind of like quiet in the corner and mean. But not mean necessarily, but like threatening to North Korea. And North Korea doesn't really like them. North Korea stays away from them. But with the new administration in the United States and other developments in our policies, North Korea has actually become a little worried. Because before the United States, were more of a quiet, not going to get involved unless we need to.
Obama,
but recently, we've been more questionable. You know, North Korea doesn't really know what we're going to do. We're different. So as a result, they're acting different. They're more like, hey, why don't we consider peace? And whether or not that's actually something that they're considering and, you know, denuclearizing and etc. It is a different approach by the United States that has caused a lot of the recent reactions. And in China, our interactions with China are sometimes good, sometimes bad. It's questionable because the current president of the United States is... you never really know what his actual policies are and what's just coming out of his mouth in the morning.
Yeah, he hasn't run your country into the ground yet, but he's at a point where he has the power to do so.
And as a United States citizen, I don't trust our president. I don't think it's going to go well, but I do trust the political the process of election, and I trust that there is power greater than the president's position that would allow us to make better decisions or avoid bad ones. So I think North Korea definitely doesn't have that opinion. They're worried because they think that all of a sudden, instead of having a government system that makes rational decisions, they're worried that Trump is just going to lose something and do something irrational. And that's why they're acting different. That's what I think why they've been more open to negotiations in the summit. And they're also happy because they're being treated as an equal on an international stage.
But I believe my theory is true. It can link into Lenin's topic, but
Lenin.
whatever you want to be known as,
yeah, go on.
But see, I think his theory has a point, but watch North Korea's movements. Sorry, watch North Korea's communications when they've come all nice guy, like, because they will at some point. watch what they negotiate with the likes of China, and what they're gonna ask for aid and all peaceful countries.
I don't think they get much aid.
Like, you see, once they're nice guy, everyone's gonna be like, oh, you're great now. Here's some food for your people.
But I don't know. Maybe other nations. But the United States has never.
They're gonna bugger smaller little Asian nations for food, like neighbors. Just send a boat over with some food.
Do they do that really?
I've
never really heard about that.
They're gonna if they.
That's how how you think they would operate.
That's how they get their sourcing, because China cut ties with them, didn't they? Well, sorry.
I'm not sure what the China relationship is.
They stopped sending food anywhere from China. What's going on here?
Yeah, that's a while ago. Don't worry about that. I answered that.
Yeah, alright, did you? Sorry.
That's Milo. He's smarter than me, so he'll probably just leave because,
politics.
Because Stephen Hawking doesn't watch science teachers' videos. He doesn't watch what's that science dude?
4 viewers. Bill Nye.
Bill Nye. Yeah.
Bill Nye, the science guy.
Yeah, Stephen Hawking wouldn't watch Bill Nye. I mean, maybe because he's dead, but sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think North Korea is a different situation, and it how the heck did we get to North Korea?
Cold War.
Cold War, yes, Cold War.
Yeah.
So, step back, Cold War. The Cold War was essentially proving who was going to be the next superpower, who was going to start out in this new age as a world power, which was the United States, and still is.
What I think the Cold War was this is the new era. Here are the two biggest people in the class, and they're gonna scrap it out outside at lunch break. And whoever
you're saying it wasn't really relevant to everyone else.
No, yeah, pretty much it was who's the toughest kid here, who can be the most advanced in the least amount of time. And America pulled it smart with the space race because they ran the Soviet Union into the ground.
Well,
essentially, communism.
You speak it as a United States citizen. I will be a little biased on this, but the United States didn't get the first man in space. They didn't launch the first rocket into space. They didn't do much of the first space stuff except for land on the moon first and put our flag on there. So we didn't necessarily win the space war. We just had a lot better PR. We publicized our event more, and we really worked the system so that it made us look more powerful.
And it made you look like the good guys, because it's like... So
yeah, well, I mean, obviously we are the good guys.
Communism is scary.
Communism is scary.
That's the image portrayed, though. Like, I'm not saying it isn't. Like, but it's a change. And USA wants to look like, we're keeping it the same way, just we're the big dogs here. But communism is like, everybody's sharing... You and your neighbour, you're both going to be the same. And people don't like the same.
Now, that's the theory of communism. But communism does not work in any sense. Like, no political system, no nation has ever successfully run a true communist state, because just like a true democratic, purely democratic state has never existed because it wouldn't work. The United States is a republic. Yeah,
like every state will encounter corruption at some point. And communism is extremely easy to corrupt. Like...
Well, because like you see, look at our
because if you're
Russia.
if you're the head of a communist state, all the state owns is yours, and everything is state owned. So you own a country essentially and all its people. Yeah, pretty much.
But communism never has worked.
Has yet. To
never will.
Work.
Never will. The United States will make sure no one ever tries to be communist. I mean, I think the North Koreans are. The North Koreans still communist.
North Koreans are communist, and I believe China recently ended its communism. I think
China a while ago, maybe. I think
it was heavy communism.
But they're kind of heading towards a dictatorship now. They had a new law passed that gave
your man can stay
the president
pretty much.
Stayed in longer. They have elections, but if he can get reelected as many times, I think.
And I heard the vote was like 200 and something, or around 300 to 2. So I would hate to be the two people who voted against the law being passed. I mean, because imagine trying to apologise to this man who was in seat in government for the rest of his life. He's only 40 or going into his 60s, I'd say. But like, he's there for 40 years. If he finds you, you're dead. Like.
But my suspicion is that the vote was totally corrupt. I think those two people were put out there just to be like, hey, there was some opposition, but never mind that. Yeah, I think it was totally a faked vote, and that's just because I don't trust China. I don't like China. I like Chinese people. I'm fine with people from China, but the Chinese government And their policies, I feel like, are very threatening to the United States. While you are Irish and you don't really mind this stuff, you guys don't have any problems with China.
We're neutral, so we can't really.
You guys are neutral in everything.
Yeah, pretty much. And,
except for abortion. We're not going to get into that.
It was going to come around sooner or later. We'll talk about that in a later date.
Another day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a lot about World War II, which led to the Cold War, which led to Korea. And we should we go into Vietnam? I'm gonna rant.
I feel we have to talk.
I'm going to rant about Vietnam, and you are gonna listen. Actually, the one person watching is going to listen. So, my theory with Vietnam. I can see the screen right there.
Oh, right, okay.
My theory with Vietnam is the United States did not lose the war. The United States. The military did not lose the Vietnamese War. The people in the United States lost faith in the war because of media and PR.
Black Panthers as well. They were heavy anti-Vietnam.
Maybe, yeah, that's true too.
Anti-Vietnam.
And as a result, the protests became so heavy, and everything got bad, and the United States was like, hey, it's not worth it to be in this war anymore. Now, we didn't lose it. The people lost faith in it. And thus we pull out, and that left Vietnam as it is today, which isn't a bad place.
Back. Random shitpost. Thanks for returning.
Thanks for coming back. Yeah. We went on my rant about Vietnam and how they didn't lose.
Put something in?
Or we didn't lose.
I watched a documentary on Vietnam the other day, and apparently the American ambassador in Vietnam, he was very sick around the fall of Saigon, modern day in Ho Chi Minh. But that was kind of the last point that was where the evacuation took place.
Oh, at the end of the war.
At the end of the war.
Yeah.
But your man was fierce corrupt, and the evacuation could have been way more successful. But there's a tree in the courtyard, which was a likely place to land a bigger helicopter. And he was like, no, if you cut that down, that's the last sign of America in this country. And he killed a couple 1,000 people because of it. Like,
he's corrupt.
No, he was sick.
Are you saying that the United States ambassador was corrupt?
No, the ambassador. He was.
Then who was corrupt?
No. He wasn't corrupt. He was sick.
You said someone was corrupt.
No, I said it was a bit corrupt towards the end.
Who'd you say is corrupt? Huh?
Communism is corrupt.
Amen.
Amen to that. He was sick, and apparently he was on medication and stuff towards the end of the war.
So he didn't want to get a tree, and you're saying that caused a lot of issues.
That caused a lot of life issues.
Yeah.
And he also postponed the evacuation as long as possible.
And that's probably a point that we actually don't look at in wars a lot. When we look into wars, we don't look at the human error, the actual human characteristics, and we don't look at who's actually running these things. We might say, Hitler, two fronts was a bad idea. But we don't know the people that were interacted. We don't know the decision-making process. We don't know what happened.
They want us to talk about the Civil War.
American
we'll
Civil
go on
War.
to that in a sec. That'll be first on the list.
Okay,
Well,
Vietnam, I'll just finish up Vietnam. Vietnam was not... The United States military did not lose the war. The United States people lost faith in the war. And that was why we pulled out of the war. You're messing with that.
No, I'm trying to turn it down. It's quite loud.
Is it quite loud for you, or is it for the viewers?
It's quite loud for people. That's our volume. That's what they hear. I wanted to keep it green, not yellow.
Oh god! My voice goes into the yellow. My bad.
You were touching red for a bit there, and I was just afraid. I just want
Beep.
you to bear in mind what your voice
Beep.
sounds like.
That was a good one. Sorry about that.
Please don't
Sit
leave,
back.
please don't
I'm
leave.
kind of loud.
Yeah.
So we didn't necessarily lose it. We pulled out because the American people lost faith in it. And
It wasn't more fighting. I mean, you had too much ground to reclaim. You let's face it, you weren't gonna make it.
Vietnam, we could have won.
You could have won.
We could have won
at
at a huge cost, and I'm not sure myself if that would have been worth it. But we didn't necessarily lose it.
Yeah.
The United States has never really lost any war.
Yeah. Well, considering Korea's actually been fighting for quite some time. Two people watching. Korea and North Korea. Strictly speaking, they're still at war.
They are still at war.
The Cold War still isn't over.
The Cold War is over.
It ended, but a part of it, the Korean War, is actually still going on. It's just that
So the Korean War and the Vietnam War were both puppet wars. They were both wars fought by the Soviets and the United States, but through
different factions.
Smaller, more or less powerful nations.
So Vietnam
being manipulated by these bigger countries, which is true. But we can't do much about that. So let's move forward.
Yeah.
Someone suggested the American Civil War. I hope I know more about this topic, but maybe I don't.
I know a fair bit. They teach it in school here, so.
They do?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
See, we won the Cold War. Everyone learns about us. It's the winners who write history.
No, the teacher's about the guy who got fired because he said it was a good idea to nuke the Vietnamese.
Who said that?
General MacArthur. Apparently he got
I liked
fired.
him. I like him.
He said it would be a good idea to nuke the Soviets, but they learned about the Tsar bomb. You know that massive thing?
Yeah, the TSAR bomb.
Yeah.
Tsar.
Tsar bomb. Whatever, however you want to pronounce it.
General MacArthur he was a quality guy. I mean, he was a good general. He was determined, and he did well.
He was good, but what he said, and that idea itself, President Truman didn't want anything to do with it. He wanted to keep nukes out of it because he knew they were only
once you suggest nukes,
they were only a power tool. They weren't a war weapon. They were a power tool.
Yes, that is great.
Yeah.
You say that again. So nukes are
a power tool.
They're a weapon of war.
They're a negotiating chip, is what they are.
And if they were a weapon, then that would screw us all over quite bad. I mean, I'm in Ireland right now, so I'd probably be fine because we're neutral.
The beef market would probably go up because cows would grow another head or something.
Like what do you use the head for though?
Brains will become a delicacy. I don't know.
My brains aren't a delicacy.
That's called cannibalism.
Yes. Okay, so on to the American Civil War.
Don't play the damn song. Please don't play the damn song.
I won't play the damn song. I'm just gonna get real American right now.
This is gonna be the thumbnail.
The thumbnail is me. Okay. The Americans. I don't need this stuff for the American Civil War. Anyways, the American Civil War was the American Civil War. Come on, Terry, you said that.
No, that was loud. You've only got one earpiece in and you're
you're right. I shoved the other one in.
Yeah.
I'm not.
You'll realise how loud he is.
Okay. I'm not too loud. I just realized how bad I sound on my own.
Yeah.
So the American Civil War was a war fought between the North and the South. The South wanted to leave the North, the United States, and to go over, a lot of people think that it was about slavery. It really wasn't about slavery.
YOLO from Dr. Jones.
Dr. Jones, I don't know him. So we're talking about the American Civil War. The American Civil War was not about slavery as many people would assume or is taught. It's really more political and it's much broader than just fighting over slavery. Junior Jones. Yeah.
Junior Jones.
Oh,
it says Junior Jones. Can you read?
I know Junior Jones.
Sorry, I'm blind. I'm tired. It's like 11:30 here. I said Dr. Jones, I think, earlier.
Oh, did you?
It said Junior
I wasn't
Jones.
paying attention.
I'm blind. It looks like a D from here. Like.
Oh, everything looks like a D for you.
No, everything looks like an L for you now.
Oh. Anyways, it was not necessarily about slavery. While that was one aspect of the war, that was one aspect of the war was the progress towards rights for African Americans and the abolishment of slavery, which was mostly due to Abraham Lincoln. He really was the one who pushed that idea in the North and caused it to be such a.
Apparently, he was a racist. Actually, after it all, unfortunately.
Okay, I'm not gonna say that. That's one of my presidents. So
I know. No, he believed slavery shouldn't be a thing, but he didn't believe equality. He just believed people.
You mean the whole separate but equal?
He just said people shouldn't own people, but people shouldn't be even. Is what he said. That's not me. That's kind of.
I see your comments. Junior Jones. Yeah, you don't have to read it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I'm just
hashtag ignored. Yeah. No, I think Abraham Lincoln was the main reason. I hope I'm not making a fool of myself with the Civil War stuff. I don't know that much about it. I'm more into the World War stuff, but.
Yeah, it's your country.
Yes.
Yeah.
Civil War was not about slavery as much as people would think, and it was a pretty bloody war.
All you have to say is the commies lost. That's all you have to
They were
say.
communists as much as I would like to. I'd like to blame that on them. How's Ireland? Well, I like Ireland. He does. I hope. You like Ireland?
Is this a trick question?
Do you like Ireland?
Ireland's great. Sorry, that's my phone. Remove that now. Shit.
See how loud it is now.
The country is fine.
It's fine. You know, they're falling apart because Yeah, they're Ireland, but it's fine. Never mind. I enjoy the country. I enjoy visiting. I come every summer, and I visit my family. I visit Tig, and we hang out. And we're gonna start doing these podcasts more often.
Yeah, and start reading more blog articles.
650,000 died in the American Civil War. See, that's a good fact.
That's facts. We want facts.
Before we did this, I was thinking maybe I should go online and look up stuff, but I'm like, you don't do that. Like, you really want to avoid doing that in a blog.
Yeah.
So I'll just have nice followers. You know, that's better.
Yeah.
Ireland, one thing about Ireland, if you haven't been here, is every teenager boy has the same haircut. Like, pretty much almost the same thing. It's like this here, I have it. Yeah. It's like the sides shortened, and then a top that's normal. Like, so look at Tig's.
Yeah.
Move your head. Move it. See, look at that. That's like a really common one, and the top varies in length. Yeah. So that's really common. I died in the American Civil War. Oh. A moment of silence for Junior Jones for dying.
Put on the hat and the glasses.
Yeah. A moment of silence for he died.
Yeah, that's enough of that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I have that hair. Good on you, boy. Good on you.
Oh yeah. Can I be in the maybe we'll see if we can set that up. We're still figuring out the podcast stuff. We're still figuring out how this stuff works.
If we can get if we can get a group call and something.
We're trying to figure out how this podcast is going to work. We're going to try to do it more regularly.
Yeah, if we can do it every month, I could go online while American members are online.
And I live in the United States, so when I go back to the States, we're going to have to figure out a way to have these calls and these talks.
You see, I can do all the recording and record voices.
Yes, you have the black people version of it. That's a different version, but
yeah, no.
I mean, it's not. It's just a different aspect. It's a different point.
It's the same concept. Short on the sides, long on the top. You know, it's just.
Oh, I was thinking about the Civil War. Can we ignore how stupid I am? I'm just gonna walk away for a minute.
You're definitely me.
I'm gonna go in the corner for being an idiot. Okay, I'm back.
We'll be right back.
No.
We'll be back.
Okay.
Can we just get out of the scene a sec? Can we just appreciate this poster here? Look at this guy. Look.
No, I'm not pulling it
out. That's not in shots.
It's beautiful, but
he has some nice white teeth there.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
okay, let's focus on other people.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah.
OMG, Lenny.
Oh, the haircut.
Talking about the haircut. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we know that. We've been over that. I'm an idiot. Moving on.
Yeah, I think I use Discord anyway. I have my own Discord server for my YouTube fan base and stuff, so we can use that. I'll make a segment for it if you want. You can make your own Azbadarian Discord if you want.
Yeah, I'll figure out Discord.
Discord is the best though, in my opinion.
The poster. You hate the poster, okay. I'm sorry you hate the poster. Here, you continue talking about the new stuff.
Yeah, I'll go through the comments. Let me turn this down because I have to get up closer.
Go ahead and talk about the new poster.
Okay, so Skype, Discord. I'm hoping to use Discord. Discord's the easiest. Haircut, yeah, he's an idiot. OMG, Lenny, he's established that. No, I'm not appreciating it. No, I hate the poster. Okay, we got it. You hate the poster. Lenny, we have been over. You are an idiot multiple times because you don't listen to me.
Yes, I don't listen to you.
If you keep talking like that and if your name has 101 in it, what do you expect? Also, there's Pikachu as a profile picture. Lol, I was kidding. Okay. Don't worry, he doesn't care. A random shit post.
Oh, that's not. What was he kidding about?
Which one of you is Arizona Ball? Sorry, just asking. No.
Oh, he's not on here, I don't think.
Is he not on?
I don't know, unless he's under a different name. Maybe
it might be random shit post. I think it is.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yep.
Anyways, so
it's an awful picture. The Joker or the cat?
Oh.
It is. 'Tis it.
Weird. Okay, can we focus on the last bit of the podcast because it is currently, what time is it?
We're running into 40 minutes of the podcast, which is okay because
the podcast can be pretty long.
Yeah. Rude. Sorry.
Sterling.
Random shit post is
Sterling. Who's Sterling? Are you Sterling?
No.
Anyways,
I don't know. Yeah, sorry.
So, this is how I feel. This is my mood. It's pretty beautiful, actually. Patty, okay. Yeah. Yeah, Jones, you just shut your mouth now.
Should we mute him? We can mute him in chat.
Oh, can we?
Yeah, let's mute him.
Let's mute him.
Nah, I'm not gonna.
No.
We need some level of hate in this.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
I messed up.
No, let me do it.
No, you fix it. I messed it up. I do that a lot. But yes, we are going to be working on the account. We're going to work on fixing stuff up.
Thanks
We're
for
going to
breaking all my shit.
get different things together.
Alright,
Did I turn off the live?
No, you didn't.
Can you mute him now?
I'm trying to. God, Jesus, what the hell?
Anyways, so we are going to be working on new things. We are going to be focusing on what other things we can put together.
I'm just gonna leave
it on.
Yeah.
So, we aren't sure how many people are actually going to watch this. We aren't sure how well it's going to do. So
we're gonna do this for a while.
So we're gonna do it for a while. We're gonna do it while I'm here. We're gonna probably have 4 or 5 more, maybe every couple days. Hopefully get one in a couple days after this. We need you guys some feedback, maybe.
Yeah.
What we should talk about.
Bear in mind, this will be kept as a video, so people will be able to watch this.
It will be left as a video, so people can watch it. So you know, if you know someone who's interested in what we talk about, wars, politics, anything.
The Joker.
The Joker. The Joker is definitely one of them.
Choices.
If you know anyone who's stupid enough to think we're funny or interesting, tell them about us. So we're just hoping to expand a little bit this summer, and we're gonna see how it goes over the next month or so, and figure out where we're gonna go from there.
Oh
yeah, it's Arizona.
Yeah,
thumbs
I
up.
thought so, yeah.
My thumbs up isn't in. Thumbs up.
Ball and Ball comics are good.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
So we are. We're hoping to expand more. I really enjoy doing this so far. We've had some experimenting with
can do this,
with blogs.
While we're in Ireland, well, the Irish ones we do live. We'll be held in this office, pretty much.
Podcast. It's a lot about American history. Let me on. I know a lot about American history. We'll figure it out. We're trying to figure everything out. We're trying to set stuff up, but we'd love to have you on.
Yeah.
And we can do a special edition with someone on. We need to sort stuff out with the equipment, and but we really are hoping to expand, and we're hoping to get more people. So please, we encourage you to go tell people about it.
Yeah, we're hoping to get like a team together, maybe.
People to talk to, people who are encouraged, who want to talk about it and invite their friends on.
Yeah. We might do a podcast reviewing Poland Ball. We could do it, like.
We'll figure out what our content.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. So that's basically where we are right now with the tech and the what we're gonna be doing, moving on. So if I think we should move on to a different subject.
Yeah.
Before we finish up, and let me check what other subjects we thought about doing.
Yep. We've got a piece of paper.
We have a piece of paper. It is a piece of paper. We already North Korea was actually on here. We didn't do that.
No,
Homework. So people watching here, do you like? Cool. Thanks.
Yeah,
Watch.
Tell your friends, yeah.
So we hate homework. I hate homework. He hates homework. Yeah. Homework is horrible. Homework was invented or introduced in Italy. The Italians
by some asshole
fucked up again.
Yeah.
They did.
And this time it wasn't
a war.
Related. It wasn't related to bread, and it wasn't related to fascism.
And it wasn't related to sports. They're not great. Are they good at sports?
They've got their rugby team ain't great, but they've got like one of the best rugby players in the world.
Okay, I don't care about him. Yeah. Anyways, Italy doesn't agree. They invented homework basically. So if you have a problem with that, if I hear lots of people say like whoever invented homework, I hope he goes to hell. Well, there actually is a person.
And he probably is there now.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, as a Christian, I can't really say that. But moving on from that, homework, is it necessary? Is the essential question I'm trying to ask here. Is while we do have it and we hate it, is it helpful?
Those damn Italians.
Yes, those damn Italians. Italians aren't helpful for anything. We don't. Food. Food. We can thank the Italians for food. Amen. I'm probably too loud again. No, it's not too bad.
I turned it the hell down so you can talk about it.
I can talk more. I have a bit of a problem with that. I get told to shut up a lot.
You're on a podcast now, so they can
now they can just ignore me really well by not listening to me.
Yeah.
But homework, I think, as much as I hate homework, I think it does help somewhat. I think it is an addition to helping us learn. I do not think it is necessary. I think it is a waste of our time a lot of the our experiences with homework as a waste of time. I think it causes a lot of unnecessary stress, frustration, and anger. And I think it really ruins high school and middle school for a lot of people because I think I'd rather have like almost an hour where we go to our classrooms, a home classroom, and do work from different classes that's been assigned for that hour, right?
Yeah.
Just for that hour where we work on our own, and that's literally like a study hour. Just sit there, get some work done, just get some extra time in, and then go home.
Yeah. Homework homework and study should be disrelated because study you can learn in your own learning manner, whether that be writing, listening to yourself saying it, like writing it down repeatedly. I can write down stuff repeatedly and learn it very well.
I don't know how I learn. I just don't learn.
Yeah, that's one way of doing it. You're on a podcast now, so different.
Yeah, they can see how stupid I am.
Yeah, you only have to talk. But like, when you're given homework, that's just a general task. Like it can't. You might learn, you might not, but it's too broad to be useful compared to the disadvantages of it. Like.
Yeah. Homework. It sucks. It's stressful. It makes life worse for me. I think even my weekends I can't enjoy because there's still homework in the back of my mind. And it's just stressful. And I don't know how much you can learn and how much you can actually get better at stuff if you're stressed. And I think if we had less homework, had an extra hour to do work, and actually went home and studied for things like our tests, we'd have so much more time to study. And we'd feel better about studying because we had that hour to get work done, which is almost studying on itself. Then we go home and study, and I think that'd be a much better way to do it because we get more time to study.
Oh, the Thai cave rescue. That should be a quick news thing because I know more about it. Like it's.
The Thais got stuck in another cave.
Yeah, Lenny was in the air when this whole thing was unveiled. So essentially, these kids on a soccer team. They go hiking down the cave in Thailand, and they do this a lot. They've gone plenty of times, but this time the monsoon rains came early, and the cave is like a load of dips and cracks. The water filled it up in certain spots, and they got trapped down there for 9 days without food or water in the dark, and they found them about a week ago now. So, at the moment they're currently evacuating them by scuba, but this isn't like just out paddling around. Like, they have to take off their gear, and this stuff is heavy. I've gone scuba diving. The stuff, it weighs a ton. Like, they have to take it off to fit through certain spots, and then put it back on while holding their breath and holding their eyes shut, and putting it on and being guided blind out of the cave, essentially. Now, there's a diver's base set up in there, and currently they've 2 kids out last I checked. Probably more. It takes about 11 hours to get a kid out of there. And I'm assuming the coach will be last. Now the parents are overjoyed. They've no negative words. It was just unfortunate essentially. But US divers and UK divers, they all saved. Eight of them. Oh, that's amazing. Now how many were stuck down there?
I think 9 with the coach.
No,
plus the coach to that.
Yeah, about 10 of them. Oh, they're nearly all out. That's good now.
Yeah, and it's been in operation for a while, for the last day or two.
A week-ish. They found them a week ago.
But they're pulling them out.
It
started just a couple days ago, so it takes hours to get them out at a time. But they're of course working as fast as they can.
Yeah. No, they've a doctor and a medic down there with them because they're stuck there for 9 days without food. So like, or light. So that's gonna damage them a lot.
So they have a doctor and a medic with them down there at the time, not going back and forth.
No, they're staying down there and they're getting 12 plus the coach. They're nearly all out. Most of them are.
There's 4 left. 4.
Yeah. But no, like, you think the parents would have hate for the coach? They don't apparently.
I mean, this is something they've done before.
It's just bad luck.
Bad luck,
yeah.
and these monsoons are actually an aspect that most of us don't really think about because that's not an aspect of our geographical location.
But their really, lives rotate around it.
They're intense.
They came early, so just imagine dark, murky water in a cave and having to go through hundreds of meters of it at a time before you surface, but you can't take off your mask. They're just still in the. Not thousands. They're about 2 kilometers under. But yeah, thanks for the update anyway. I haven't heard from them in a while.
Yeah.
Irish News covered it briefly, but like they give updates every night, but I haven't seen it for a while.
We usually watch it at Timmy's house.
Yeah.
But that was a scary situation that was on the news recently.
God. No, like just stop for a sec and think and just picture being stuck in the dark. You're starving and you've been there for like 8 days and you've a day left to go before someone finds you, but you don't know that.
I mean, I've gone like 24 hours without
Like,
having food, and
imagine,
I was freaking dying. I couldn't take it.
Yeah, that was him on the way over here. But like, imagine the coach, like imagine him having to keep everyone happy despite thinking to himself that they're all gonna die. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Like.
And that is a worry, because death is definitely a thing there. You can only go so long. But I think one good thing is they have plenty of fresh water. I think that water is drinkable.
Barely.
It's rainwater.
Very bare. Like,
I'd only be worried about the minerals that it's going past. But I think you can go quite long with just water.
There'd be a bit of debris down there, but it is fresh enough that they're out in.
I mean, at least for that time period.
They got out now, and they're obviously gonna be cleansed. There's a field hospital down there, not religiously, but like they're gonna have their dietary systems cleansed. They're gonna be on a
juice cleanse.
They're gonna.
My brother-in-law was put on a juice cleanse. It was hilariously terrible. It wasn't interesting. They're not being put on a juice cleanse. Ignore me.
They probably aren't, but they're in a hospital anyway. The psychological on its own, it says damaging for life. So there's probably therapy provided for the coach as well, because like he has to be the adult during all this, despite him being only in his 20s, like. But overall than that, just a really unfortunate accident. But everybody's okay, thanks be to God, and
so far everyone is okay. They're getting them out. And it looks like a good. It's a recovering situation.
It looks like it's gonna be a bit of a miracle, really. That you know.
No. So I'm gonna ask you this, because this is a podcast and not a news station. Do you think the coach should be held responsible as the adult in this situation, the legal adult, for the issues that will come with the medical bills and the kid's health and other problems?
I think not.
You think he shouldn't be held responsible?
The parents approved of them going down the cave.
So the parents gave approval.
This was like a field trip. So like, when you're given a note to bring home for a field trip, normally it just says, "Can your kid come? Yes or no?" And you tick the box and you sign your name, hand it in. They go, "What happens if the bus crashes?" And
so you don't blame the driver for that?
No, you don't, and you don't blame anyone, because the kid's parents gave responsibility. It's probably under insurance. Now, the state, like, being it all big and all, the state will take responsibility.
So you're saying legally, it is not the coach's responsibility in that situation. Do you think it is morally? Do you think the coach morally should have known or researched or looked up or reacted different in this situation?
It was just such a shock. Like, no one would have expected it, because they've done this many times before. Like,
it was a regular trip.
From a legal standpoint, I'm sure the Thai government will cover it. It's all like they got pretty much all of the Western world out there helping those kids out of there.
Of course.
So, honestly, I see it as just a miracle, and that everyone will be okay. Hopefully, please to God. But from a standpoint, as far as I know, the parents feel guilty that they let the child go down there.
The parents feel guilt, but not necessarily. They're not really.
They're not mad or sad with the coach. It's just like, oh, you know, they can sympathise for him, because he's done this before, and he didn't know what he was getting into going down that cave that day. Yes. You know.
But I do think to some degree the coach is held responsible for it, because simply on a broader view, the society places the adult in charge of the youth, because we aren't old enough, strong enough, wise enough, etc. to be responsible in these situations. So I do think to some degree the coach is responsible. Now, I'm not saying he's responsible in a bad way. I'm saying he could be responsible in a very, very good way. He could be responsible for how he behaved, how he worked with the kids,
how he saved their lives,
and what went on down in those caves before they were rescued was probably nightmarish. But I think he's responsible for them in that situation, and how he behaved there is very important, and that is where he comes into control as an adult in charge of the group.
Yeah. No, overall, I see it as just a miracle, because it's just another event where the world just comes together to sympathise with people. You understand? Like, this happens. Like, it's just a disaster, and Thailand does nothing to anyone, so everyone just feels bad.
They make good food, though. So here's my question. Here's my big question of the whole topic. I might seem a bit insensitive, but it's something that happens. How much do you bet there will be a movie in a year about this whole situation?
Documentary, yes. Movie, no.
You can't have a documentary about this. Like
You can't-
a movie, like actors that redo it.
A documentary with a live action recreation.
No.
No,
So you're saying they'll have a documentary that like basically like has clips of it and they talk about it. That's a documentary. I'm talking about like a movie, like a full recreation, reacting the whole scene.
I'm talking about. Have you ever seen a documentary where they've a recreation incorporated into it, like with real things, and then this says this is a recreation of an event, and it recreates it. Like they made one. Do you remember the thing with the Hudson River where a plane landed in it and no one died?
Yes.
They recreated certain scenes from that. These were like there wasn't a fellow with a expensive film camera on that plane. This was a recreation, and it was incorporated into a documentary.
But see, I disagree with the term documentary being used for this situation.
Yeah,
So,
because it isn't.
so if we look up documentary quick.
Mr. Google here now.
No, it's a good.
So I'm just gonna check up on the old stats with this. Let's see who's watching.
Probably no one.
We got 2 people still watching.
Oh, is one of them me? No, it's not.
Yeah. Patty.
Okay, just ignore him.
Yeah. Alright.
So, definition of a documentary, if I can find it. Okay, never mind.
I know where you're coming from with a recreation. Not
So, a documentary is consisting of based on official documents, using pictures or interviews with people involved in real events to provide a factual report on his. But I think if they do come out with something, it would be like your stereotypical, like it wouldn't have interviews. It would be like a film, like with like I watched on my flight here. I watched 1712 to Paris or something like that. It was the film about the 3 American men who stopped a terrorist attack on a train to Paris. Do you remember that that happening?
Name the year and the name.
It was fairly recent. But what happened basically was these men were on a train. They
was it like the big intercontinental interstatal or international train. There's a big train system that goes around.
Yeah, and it was going from like some other nation.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, and so the 3 American men stopped a terrorist attack. 2 of them were military. And the key thing here, I watched it on the way here, and it starts literally going as far back as when they were in middle school, in their lives, in different families, and going onward to leading up to the one situation where they did stop the terrorist attack.
Yeah.
And it was the 3 men who worked in the film were the actual men who were in the situation.
Yeah.
They had them in it, and I don't think that's very rare, but they had them in it, and then at the end when they had a clip of the men receiving awards. It actually showed the real TV footage, but I wouldn't classify that necessarily a documentary. That's a reenactment movie, and I think that's what they would probably have done with the situation. I think a lot of these situations
by reenactment
like
movie, I'm not talking a couple hours long. I'm talking maybe a 40-minute special edition.
Oh, see, I think they'll do more than that.
Alright, yeah, maybe.
I think they'll have a full-blown movie because they do that a lot.
Yeah, they do that sometimes. Yeah, like they'll probably make a couple things out of it. They will make a documentary. Someone will make a documentary. It won't be official like.
How about
TV.
this on live? I bet you 20 quid they will have a proper film and not a doc. I'm not trying to argue with them. I'm not trying to be a
dollars or euros.
Euros are worth more.
Talking way.
I'll get you that game. Speaking of which, today, kind of in our personal lives, we bought Madden. I bought Madden for us to play on the PS4.
Yeah.
And Tig, in the first game, he went through like the practice game on his own. Yeah. And then we played a game against each other, and Tig won. I was the Seahawks, of course. I'm a Seahawks fan.
Detroit.
It was Detroit Lions. They were actually pretty good. A lot of interceptions.
Tigers or Lions, was it?
Good game.
Tigers or Lions?
Lions.
Is it? Alright. So
and
I
then
don't follow NFL.
We had a second game, and I destroyed him. He was the Seahawks, and I'm getting the idea that maybe it's the Seahawks that suck in this Madden 18, and he was the Seahawks.
That's bad vibes, you know?
And I was, I was Tampa Bay.
You were Tampa Bay.
I was Tampa
Seahawks,
Bay. Yeah. And I destroyed him. It was amazing. I loved it. I loved every second of it. Not to be mean, but totally to be mean.
I'll give him that win because he sucked in the first game. Like Detroit kicked his ass.
And then we played racing games, and I raged. I like broke the thing in the ceiling because I raged about the racing game.
My foot, like he was gonna stamp on it.
I stamped, and his leg was accidentally in the way, and I broke his. I didn't break it, but I stood on him.
Yeah, I'm bruising his appearing.
You did not. So what if we encompassed in this whole vlog podcast? It's not really a podcast, but
it's
it'll be a podcast because we won't always have the camera and stuff.
Yeah, this is kind of a special edition of it.
To move on, we've encompassed World War I, World War II, a little bit of those. We're definitely going to move on in that a lot more because we really enjoy those topics. We know a lot about them, and there's a lot of stuff. The Battle of the Bulge. There's
we might get
Treaty of Versailles.
We might get like random shitposts here. He says he knows a lot about
We'd
wars.
love to have him on.
We'll get him on sometime and do a special edition on wars and kind of modern 20th century wars, you know?
Yeah.
Like last
we'll talk about stuff, American history and stuff.
Yeah.
We'd also want to try to encompass anything that you guys recommend, anything that you guys put up for us to watch, talk about what our opinions are, and if you guys come up with a contrary opinion you have, we'd love to have what I call like a debate. I don't call it, but it's a debate. A debate where you pick sides for us, Tig or me, and we, even if we don't necessarily agree with that, we fight our side, and just fun things like that. We'd love to incorporate.
We'll do our homework. We'll give ourselves about a week, maybe.
A week
to write up a debate on
a day.
Alright, a day. It's not going to be that long. It'll just be a short segment out of it.
It'll be part of the podcast. It goes as long as it does. And if you've watched this whole long thing, we ramble.
Don't deafen me again.
I'm not going to deafen you. We ramble. We go on tangents about different stuff. We talk about sports. We talk about news. We talk about what we say. We're going to start off about
children in a cave.
Yeah. What we start on about is mostly just going to be a headline. It's what we're going to use to get people to look at it and want to look at it.
Clickbait kings.
Yes, clickbait kings. So that's just what we start off about. But I've really enjoyed doing this first podcast. I encourage you guys to tell your friends about it.
Yeah.
And to listen in. And follow us on Instagram at az_aspect. And
don't click mine. It's just too long. Like it's just
and then the Twitter is like Azbadarian or something. And we have a website up. It's called the Azbadarian Aspect. It's on site 123.
Yeah.
So go check that out. We have articles, book reviews.
Yeah. If you write one, feel free to send it in to us.
Yeah.
We will review it. If we
post.
see something that might be a bit dodgy posting online that might screw us over, we'll just send you it back. Tell you, look, there's some things.
Edit out. This is what we kind of need. But really, we aren't too selective. We really would love to have you guys interact. We'd love for you guys to post stuff and to send stuff to us on the website.
Yeah.
But also listen to the blogs. They're going to be on our new YouTube channel. And give us honest opinions. What you really think of how we're doing.
Yeah. Now, constructive criticism. No, don't go. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing too mean. And our haircuts. Just don't talk about the haircuts. They're just don't. And this.
It's just something to talk about.
And if you want me to put on a paper bag over my head, that is an option. If you guys want to vote for that. It's New York hat. New York sucks. Yeah. That's the end of our podcast. So thanks for listening. It's the Azbadarian Aspect podcast, and we'll see you next time.